Okay, close your eyes for a second. Imagine picking fresh, juicy, mouth-watering blackberries by the absolute handful. Now, imagine doing it without a single scratch on your arms, without wrestling a tangled, painful mess of thorny bushes, and without accidentally squishing that precious fruit in the process. Pretty great, right? Did you know you can actually enjoy massive harvests of sweet blackberries without the hassle of thorns?
Well, welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled to guide you through this fascinating seed-to-harvest journey. Today, we're going to break down exactly how to plant, trellis, and care for thornless blackberries. So if you're a gardener looking to maximize your yields while entirely eliminating the literal pain points of harvesting, you are absolutely in the right place.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The thornless advantage. 2. Choosing your variety. 3. Soil prep and planting. 4. Building the V-trellis. And finally, 5. Seasonal care and pruning.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the thornless advantage. It is time to say goodbye to scratches for good.
You see, modern genetic selection hasn't just saved our hands and our favorite shirts from getting shredded, it actually eliminates the risk of mechanical damage to the fruit itself while you're harvesting. Now, as we look at how these plants grow, we really see 3 distinct types. You have your erect types, which develop these sturdy, self-supporting stems. They're awesome if you're working with limited space. Then you've got semi-erect types. These start out growing straight up, but then they arch heavily under the massive weight of their fruit. And finally, trailing types. These form long, flexible canes that will literally just creep right along the ground if you leave them unsupported. Now, while those erect plants are super sturdy, the semi-erect and trailing types, they offer incredible, intense flavor and just massive yields. But they absolutely require structural support to thrive.
So let's look at some of the top-performing cultivars out there based on the agronomic data. You've got Thorn-Free, which is a classic, known for its high productivity and that perfect tart, sweet flavor. Black Satin is a fantastic, really fast grower that produces these incredibly glossy, disease-resistant berries. Then there's Triple Crown, an absolute favorite if you want huge berries with a superb balance of sweetness and aromatics, and Navajo, which is an erect-growing variety that's just top tier for fresh eating straight off the bush. Honestly, picking any of these guarantees a painless, amazing harvest. Moving on to Section 2, soil prep and planting. We're building the foundation for growth here.
And a strong foundation is literally everything. Preparing your garden bed properly ensures your blackberries are going to develop powerful drought resistance and beautifully balanced vegetative growth. And it all starts with your soil chemistry. Thornless blackberries really thrive in slightly acidic soil, ideally with a pH right between 5.5 and 6.5. You definitely want to avoid highly alkaline, calcareous soils. Anything over 7.5 pH is a massive red flag. Why? Because that high alkalinity will actually block the plant's ability to absorb iron, which leads to iron chlorosis, and that will completely stunt your plant's growth. We definitely do not want that.
And speaking of absolute essentials, these plants are serious sun worshippers. They demand 6 to 8 hours of direct daily sunlight. I mean, this is the fuel for that abundant, incredibly sweet fruit production. So whatever you do, do not skimp on the sun. Okay, so planting day arrives. Here is the exact step-by-step procedure if you're working with bare root plants. First up, soak those roots in water for about 2 hours. Next, you're going to dig a hole that is wider than the plant's spread-out root system. Give them room to breathe. Third, set the plant about 1 to 2 inches deeper than it was growing back in the nursery and pack that soil tight to get rid of any hidden air pockets. Now, step 4. This one feels a little counterintuitive, but it is vital. Cut that main stem back to just 25 to 30 centimeters above the soil lawn. I know, it hurts to chop up your brand new plant, but doing this perfectly balances the root mass with the top growth, and it provokes this powerful, explosive root start in the spring. All right, let's get into Section 3, building the V-trellis. This right here is the secret to huge yields. Listen, I need to address a really common myth right out of the gate. Do not, under any circumstances, build a flimsy, cheap trellis. Mature blackberry rows get incredibly heavy, incredibly fast, so you need a heavy-duty solution. But to understand why the V-trellis is the ultimate solution, we first need to demystify some basic botany. Pay close attention to these 2 terms, primocane and floricane. A primocane is the first-year green vegetative cane. It basically just grows leaves. The floricane is that exact same cane, but in its second year, it turns woody, and this is the cane that actually produces your fruit. Understanding this simple 2-year life cycle is literally the ultimate secret to easy pruning and harvesting. And this life cycle is exactly why the V-trellis is so superior. Just imagine this shape in your head. The V trellis physically separates the new, inner-growing primicanes from the older, outer fruiting floricanes. This separation is a game changer. It maximizes air circulation, which forces the leaf to dry out quickly and stops disease right in its tracks. Plus, it keeps all that gorgeous fruit right at a standing height, making your harvest perfectly ergonomic. No more breaking your back.
Let's look at the actual construction details for this heavy-duty setup. You want your heavy end posts set at a 60-degree outward angle. That specific angle is what creates that necessary open canopy space right in the middle. Then, you'll run your lower high-tensile wire at 24 inches off the ground, and your upper wire at 48 inches. Oh, and you'll definitely want to use inline wire strainers. These let you easily adjust the tension and keep those wires perfectly taut as your plants pack on the weight.
I've actually got to share this crucial real-life warning straight from our sources over at the Seasonal Homestead. They explicitly note, bury the T-posts at least 2 feet deep in the ground so they can't move. Listen, if you failed to bury those posts deep enough, the sheer tension of the wires combined with the massive weight of the plants will literally pull them inward, completely ruining your perfect V-shape and crowding the canes. Seriously, don't skip the deep digging.
Which brings us to Section 4, Seasonal Care and Pruning. This is all about maintaining that incredible harvest.
Once your trellis is up and those plants are in the ground, shifting your focus to ongoing maintenance is what's going to keep your thornless blackberry patch thriving for years, maybe even decades. For watering, you're looking for deep, infrequent irrigation to really encourage deep root growth. But please avoid overwatering. These plants hate having wet feet and are super prone to root rot if they sit in puddles. For fertilizing, just apply a nice layer of organic compost or a balanced fertilizer right in early spring. And for weed control, keep the row base clear. Use some shallow tilling and apply a good organic mulch. This suppresses the weeds while locking in that vital soil moisture.
Now, let's see how all this builds to pruning. Because we already know about that 2-year cane life cycle, the logic here is just wonderfully straightforward. You're going to prune in late winter or early spring, right before the new growth starts. First, simply remove all the dead second-year floricanes right down at the base. They've already fruited and they're naturally going to die off anyway. Then, take a look at the remaining green primocanes and thin them out, leaving only 4 to 8 of the absolute healthiest, thickest stems per plant. By doing this, you are effectively channeling all of the plant's precious energy into producing massive, juicy berries on those few canes, rather than just growing a giant, tangled jungle of leaves.
Real quick, before we wrap things up, I do want to throw in a quick evergreen disclaimer. While this explainer covers the fundamental science and the very best practices for growing thornless blackberries, gardening is always a dynamic partnership with nature. Microclimates vary wildly from place to place, practices evolve, so always consider your local environmental conditions, observe your plants closely, and never hesitate to consult your regional agricultural extension experts. Staying curious and continuously learning is the real key to lifelong gardening success.
So the only question I have left for you is this. Once you've built that sturdy trellis, planted your gorgeous thornless cultivars, and the peak of summer rolls around, what scratch-free, mouth-watering treats are you going to bake with your future massive blackberry harvest? Honestly, it's time to grab a shovel, get out there in the garden, and start planting. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today, and happy growing!